everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's November 30th. It is 2023. We have 9 NBA games to talk about here on today's podcast. Very spread out week as far as games. Very good balance. No 15-game slates, which is really nice. Joined today by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, 9 basketball games. How's it going, my friend?
It's going fine, man. And listen, I don't even have to get into all the particulars today. I've been on a pretty good amount this week. I think everybody knows how we rock. So I'm just going to shut up and we can get into the action.
Yeah, great week when you get four Chief Justice basketball podcasts in 1 week. So just how the schedule kind of played out.
Yeah.
But 9 games. I hope everyone's Wednesday slate is going better than mine. I was at my daughter's volleyball practice and did not see the Embiid news. Saw the alert like when we were leaving the gym, and I was like, "Oh, well, my night's done." I did get him low owned. So, yeah, and Desmond Bane not getting his point prop. I think I'm more tilted about that than the Embiid news. Oh well. It happens. He decided tonight was the night he was going to go out and get a bunch of assists. So good job, Desmond Bane. He probably did really well in DFS. I haven't checked my DFS lineup since the Embiid news, but I did play Desmond Bane. What did he end up with? He ended up with 44 fantasy points, 9 assists for Desmond Bane. Who had Desmond Bane getting 9 assists tonight on their bingo card? So there you go. All right, let's break down this slate. It's a fun slate, 9 games, only a few teams on a back-to-back. We get started with Portland at Cleveland, 218.5 total in this one. Cleveland a 12-point favorite. We got Simons and Williams out for Portland, and Jerome and Wade out for Cleveland. Any interest here in Portland?
Man, Portland's a weird team for me right now, Stevie. We've got everybody back. We've got Brogdon at 8,100 now, which is, essentially he's priced all the way up. You got Ayton at 7K, which is only a little bit more expensive than what he was. He's still got some meat on the bone. Will definitely be needed for size. That's about it for me, Stevie. Like I feel like it's Ayton or bust. Like I don't think Sharp has the same upside with Brogdon there. We haven't seen a whole lot from Scoot Henderson just in a general sense. It's just Ayton for me.
Yeah, I think it's Ayton for me as well. We expect Cleveland to be better defensively with Allen being healthy, but overall they have really struggled with centers. And again, I expect that to change, but right now it's kind of what we're dealing with. And I think Ayton is just playing a lot better than 7K. His role has been really secure. He's scored at least 37 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. So definitely don't mind this spot for Ayton. I don't think you have to play anybody from Portland today, though. Sharp's price, Brogdon's price, Ayton's price. We know that Brogdon has some upside. He's going to get up a bunch of shots, but this is a terrible matchup for him. Kind of one of the reasons that I like Ayton. Cleveland side of this game, fantastic spot for Mitchell. If you think this game's going to stay close, this is an upside spot for Mitchell. I know he's 9,300. Garland being back, and Cleveland's just somewhat healthy now, so the pricing is a little tough. I think I'd take some shots on Mitchell. I still like the price on Allen, even though his minutes are kind of all over the place. His role is all over the place. I don't mind some tournament shots on Allen.
Yeah, I don't hate that call. I really wish I could play Karis LeVert here. So, and I was kind of looking into this, Steve. He's 5,800, and the minutes, if I knew he was going to get 30 minutes, I think I'd take a shot, right? But I don't know, to be honest with you, if he gets 30 minutes. I think he'll get 25. Will he get to 30? I don't know. I don't hate Garland at 7,500. I think he's got some upside at that price. I don't think he gets in the 60s, Stevie, but I think he can get mid-40s, pushing, 45 to 48-ish if things break his way, excuse me. But yeah, Cleveland, they're sort of tough too now that they're getting back healthy, especially with Max Strus there, who's kind of eating into some probably the production of LeVert more than anyone. So Garland and Mitchell for paying up to be contrarian.
All right, we got Charlotte at Brooklyn, 227 total here. Brooklyn 8-point favorite. Ball, Martin, Nick Lakina, Richards out. Brendan Miller questionable. That matters. Simmons out. DSJ questionable for Brooklyn. But let's talk with Charlotte here first. I mean, Miller news matters. This guy has had a really nice usage rate. He's gotten up a lot of shots here with Ball, missing some time here recently. I mean, Bridges at 8K. He has to be on the list, I think, in this matchup against Brooklyn. Rozier, like, he's not like this huge usage guy. We want him to be a thing, but he's not really a thing. If Miller sits, I have interest here in like Hayward and Bridges, but I think Bridges would be the guy. Maybe a guy like Ish Smith gets a few extra minutes, but we don't really want to play Ish Smith. Let's be honest. What are your thoughts here on your Hornets?
Here's what I'm going to tell you, Stevie. And I think we haven't seen it this season, but I think I'm right. If Miller sits, PJ Washington's going to be the man. And I'm saying that because all they're going to do is they're going to slide Bridges to the 3, I think, and PJ's going to start. And he's 5,500, and I feel really confident he's going to get 30-plus minutes here, especially having to deal with Cam Johnson and all these other wings that they have. Like, I think PJ Washington's the guy. And I'm not saying he's going to light the world on fire for 50. I'm saying for his price, like 38 to 40 is reasonable and a reasonable expectation when they're going to already have a lack of scoring. And, you know, you take a look at some of these games earlier this season, he was getting up about 15 shots a game. I think we see that here if Miller sits, for sure.
All right, let's go to the Brooklyn side. We know Charlotte's one of the best matchups you can have. Thomas has been dealing with the ankle, but he's probable to return to this game at 7,100. We get the other Bridges in this spot. He's been playing really good. He's 8,200. Dinwiddie has a little bit of upside as well. But the guy that I really want to take shots on here is Claxton. Love this spot for Claxton, man. You know, we love bigs against Charlotte. I can see Claxton having like a 20-10 type, you know, game here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Claxton is definitely my favorite play from this game as well, Stevie. I think that's a beautiful call. And I will say, like, I don't think I want to play Mikal Bridges. Like, when Cam Thomas has played, he's just killed Bridges' like point scoring, like just destroyed it. You know, so I think Claxton is probably going to be the primary play for me. Like Dinwiddie, maybe, like we're starting to see some upside from him as well, because of the peripherals with the scoring. But Dinwiddie's definitely going to take a hit when Cam Thomas comes back in the scoring categories. He just got to go with the peripherals. I think Dinwiddie and Claxton are my two.
Yeah, I like Claxton a lot. He's someone, and I don't even hate like Cam Johnson here. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I think Cam Johnson is someone you could take some shots on. Like, we love these like bigger bigs against Charlotte. Charlotte's just a bad interior defense. All right, we got Detroit at New York, 219.5 total here. The Knicks a 13-point favorite. Detroit's on the second end of a back-to-back. Knicks don't have anybody on their injury report. Bogdanovich has been dealing with an injury for Detroit, so we'll see if he's back or not. Let's start with Detroit. Pretty young team. If anything, I mean, maybe Duren, who has been, you know, a little bit banged up recently, sits on the second end of a back-to-back. I know he missed almost 2 weeks, so maybe he sits on the second end of a back-to-back, but I think, like, we'll see how it kind of plays out. If Duren does sit, like, James Wiseman at 3,500 would be super interesting on this slate.
Yeah, absolutely, but I think he's got to sit. To be honest with you, Stevie, Detroit on a back-to-back, they just played the Lakers this game previous to this one.
And got smashed.
Yeah, and I knew, Stevie, we already knew this was coming. I talked about it last night, I think. You remember just saying, hey, the Lakers got destroyed. I knew they were going to come out ready to play. And the Knicks, getting the Knicks on the back-to-back, Stevie, couldn't be worse because this is one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they're in New York. Now, they're not going far, but they're in New York. I gotta think Detroit gets handled again here, or something relative to that. I don't want to really play anywhere from Detroit unless we get some guys sitting and get some really good value.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in Detroit unless some people sit, like you said, and that's going to open up some potential minutes. But I mean, I hate this spot. You know what I love this spot for today is Brunson. I think this is a really good spot for Jalen Brunson. But you're worried about the game staying close. I mean, I could see Jalen Brunson crushing here. I could see Mitch Rob having a really good game at 5,400. He has now played 30 minutes in 4 of the last 5 games. So I really like Mitch Rob here at 5,400 the more I think about it.
Stevie, I'm with you. I like Mitch Rob and I like Julius Randle. I think this is another sneaky spot for Randle to kind of get off here. RJ, his price is starting to come down, Stevie, to where we can get close to playing him in these type of matchups. I think I'm going to pass this time, but I do want to put him on our watch list. He starts getting under 6K, like it's time to start firing him up.
Anything else here from the Knicks?
Negative.
Yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily a spot I want to play quickly. I do like the price. I think quickly, if you want to take some shots on him, just price wise, you take a shot on that. I mean, Detroit. They really just they stink, and they didn't technically play their guys a ton of minutes.
Yeah,
they're young. They're a fun team. I am very excited for Detroit in like 2 years. I think they're going to be really good in 2 years.
Kind of the Magic feel, like the Magic. They kept getting young talent, and turned the corner.
Let's go Magic. 7 in a row. Watch out. All right, we got Indiana at Miami. No total in this game. I think it just has a lot to do with some injury news. Jackson's questionable. McConnell's questionable. Smith is out on the Pacers. Butler questionable. Highsmith questionable. Hero out for Miami. I mean, love this spot for Miami. We'll talk about them in just a second. Talk to me here about the Pacers.
Yeah, in terms of the Pacers, I feel like I want Butler to just sit this one out one more time so we can get all the fantasy goodness we want. And when that happens, I do want to play Halliburton at 10-8. I don't care. Like this man has pretty good ceiling. Like we've seen multiple 50-point games, multiple 60-point games, and he's got multiple 70-point games on the season, Stevie. So Halliburton's got the upside. I definitely think this is a guy that we can get into our lineups. The other thing here, in terms of how they're kind of running this team right now, minutes are just spread out all over the place with these wings. Buddy Hield is priced up. I almost feel like the only person I can play is Halliburton because of what they're doing with the rest of the wing minutes. Now, I do know that Obi Toppin seems to have some type of a role, but like when Nembhard comes back and all these other guys, like his minutes go down. So I think it's just Halliburton for me.
Yeah, he was playing great with Nesmith out, and then Toppin's
I said
minutes.
Nembhard. I meant Nesmith.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then like Nesmith came back and like Toppin lost that extra little bit of run that he was getting. So I'm with you. I really think that it's Halliburton. I mean, you could potentially take some shots on Nesmith at 4,300. He came back and played 25 minutes, right back into that like 25-minute role, and he's cheap at 4,300. I just don't know if he necessarily has a huge ceiling.
Yeah.
All right, Miami side. I mean, we really like the Heat here. This is a phenomenal spot for the Heat. If Butler's out, Bam might be the top play on the slate if Butler ends up sitting. I still like Bam if Butler plays, but we saw him take 27 shots against the Bucks the other night with Butler out.
Yeah.
His usage is just monstrous. I really like Bam if Butler sits. If Butler sits, I think we could take shots on Jacquez and Josh Richardson in this pace-up, bad defense spot against the Pacers.
Yeah, I wish Duncan Robinson was just going to go ahead and sit, but he's probable, so that sucks. But, Steve, if I'm not mistaken, Bam had 23 real points, I think, in the third quarter of the last game. So, he's been phenomenal. Getting him at 9,500 is fantastic. I still don't hate Kyle Lowry here, Stevie. Like, he's burned me a couple times this season, but at 5,600 in this spot, I love it.
Yeah, I think Kyle Lowry is really just if Butler sits.
Yeah, if Butler sits.
Yep.
Sorry, that's my qualifiers. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a spot, that I wouldn't be shocked if Butler sits in this game. I mean, this is a spot I think Miami could win without Butler. I think it's going to be a close, competitive game, regardless. So,
from the in-season tournament perspective, Indiana's in. Like, they got a shot to win this thing. This is interesting to me, Steve. Even though we don't have like tournament games happening, like, they still need to keep kind of trying to get geared up. I like Indiana here. I like this to be a competitive game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. And we don't get to say that very often with the Heat games because they play so stinking slow. Atlanta at San Antonio, 246 total in this game.
Yeah.
Atlanta's only 6-point favorite. Johnson out for Atlanta. Wemby questionable for the Spurs. Let's start with Atlanta. Everybody. I mean, you realistically could make a group here and, get exposure to Atlanta just in general because the Spurs have just been so bad defensively this season, but they're playing fast. They're playing at the 4th fastest pace in the NBA. They rank 27th in defensive rating. I love this spot for Atlanta. It's just figuring out like who I want to play. Trae Young could smash if this game stays close, but if it doesn't, I mean, we've seen some really big games from Trae Young this season. We know he's capable of 65 plus. He's 9,700. You really want him to go over 60.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't hate Trae here at all. I don't hate DeJounte. And
DeJounte going back to San Antonio?
Yeah, like, this is 8,200. Prices come down a little bit, Stevie. We're getting a $1,500 discount between him and Trae. So I don't hate that at all. I hate that Bogdanovich is priced up now. Like, I don't want to pay $6K for him, even though he's kind of been going over 30. Like, I wish he was still 5,500. This would have been a great spot. We've got Sadiq Bey at 5,500. Back playing nice minutes, Stevie. Like, he's someone I'm very interested in this spot. And then Clint Capella, 5,700. Yes, I know the minutes are down in the low 20s. But they will have a big out there in Zach Collins. Perhaps we can get him to 26 to 27 minutes, and that would really open up some upside for him.
Yeah, the problem with I like Capella. It's just they close with Okongwu all the time, so you hate that. With Johnson out, I like Bay with Johnson out at 5,500. Yeah. This is a nice pace up spot. On the San Antonio side, I mean, if Wemby sits in this game, give me all the Vassell and Johnson I can handle. I mean, these guys would huge bump if Wemby sits. If Wemby plays at 8,700, I know like he's dealing with like hip tightness, but if he plays, I'm gonna trust the fact that he's healthy and they're not gonna take any risk here. And I think he has a lot of upside in this spot.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to echo what you said and just throw in Jeremy Sochan. Like, if Wemby sits, I think he's in play. Like you said, Vassell's in play, Johnson's in play. I think Collins will be in play. And then I think after that, how do they handle Jetty? How do they handle McDermott? How do they handle Champagne? Like, Champagne might be another sneaky play at 4,400 if he can get to 25 minutes. So, just wanted to plug that in, but I think all of these guys across the board, all of these main starter pieces would be in great consideration in this spot with such a nice total and pace.
This game is going to be back and forth. It's going to be the fastest paced game on the slate with the little amount of defense played. And if this game stays remotely close, and the fact that it's in San Antonio, we hope it stays close. But if this game stays remotely close, it's going to be a high scoring game. Like 246, and that might not be high enough, if this game stays close. So by far my favorite game on the slate. I'm going to definitely have 2 to 4 pieces from this game. It's a game you have circled.
Yeah, Absolutely.
Lakers and Thunder, 227.5 total. The Thunder are a 6-point favorite at home here against the Lakers. Back-to-back for LA. We know that Hachimura is going to be out. I know that Vanderbilt is getting close to returning, but I don't know if he will be back or not in this one. They didn't have to really play any of their guys a ton of minutes on Wednesday, so I'm not even concerned about LeBron or Anthony Davis on the back-to-back. They smashed the Pistons. I think the only person that played over 30 minutes, I think, was D'Angelo Russell. And Anthony Davis smashed. D'Angelo Russell had 35 actual points. Just Detroit cannot stop point guards. Talk to me here about the Lakers.
Yeah. Look, man, on a back-to-back playing OKC should be a competitive game. Stevie, Anthony Davis, finally priced above 10K. Finally, he's only been priced above 10K, Stevie, 3 or 4 times this season. So, he's been under 10K most of this time. I think he's earned it. Do we go back to as long as D'Lo's been in this miniature 6K range, I've kind of been okay. This game should be competitive, which means he should have the minutes. So I don't hate D'Lo at all here, and I don't mind going back to Anthony Davis. Stevie, once again, Anthony Davis tonight, even in a massive blowout, Stevie put up 63 fantasy points. 63, and we've been talking about this. He's 60 and 50 most games, and we just don't play him. So I like AD in this spot against OKC, even on a back-to-back.
Yeah. Thunder side here. What do you like here for Thunder?
So for the Thunder, I think if they're going to keep this thing close, we're going to see tons of SGA, right? We're going to see him rolling. We're going to see some Chet Holmgren. He's 7,900. I'm not thrilled about this price, Steve, but don't look now. In the past 5 games, he's got multiple. In the past 5 games, he's got 4 games over 40. 2 of those are over 50. 64 against Golden State, 47 against Chicago, 51 against Philly, 40 against Minnesota, and the minutes are stable in the mid-30s. So I like him a ton in this spot if they're going to keep it competitive. I do feel like Jalen Williams still has some upside here, Stevie. I know we haven't seen it consistently, but at 5,900, I think we're back in that range where we can just start taking some shots in competitive matchups. He's going to pop at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a game that is competitive. I think that this is the type of matchup that I like to play SGA in. I mean, this is the type of game that he has triple-double upside. I mean, his points have been super consistent. His rebounds are all over the place. His assists are all over the place. I think this is a SGA 70-plus point ceiling matchup if he just shoots the ball well. So he's my main target here from the Thunder. And then outside of that, I mean, I don't hate Holmgren. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. And then I don't mind your Williams call. He has the upside. All right, cruising along here. We got Milwaukee at Chicago taking on the Bulls. This game stinks. 225 total. Milwaukee an 8-point favorite. No Connington, no Crowder. And then on the Chicago, Caruso, DeRozan, and Levine are all questionable. Fun stuff. We'll go Milwaukee here first. What do you like here for the Bucks?
Well, Stevie, the first thing is Giannis and Dame are starting to figure this thing out. And what I mean is Giannis is starting to crank out big performances. Stevie, Dame, 40-plus in the past 5 games, 52, 47, 55, 44. He's 9,100, and him and Giannis are starting to figure out how to have big games together. This is great for fantasy, and so those 2 guys are going to be targets for me because we know Chicago has been awful just in terms of giving up the points. Now, part of that, I think, is they're not playing Chris Middleton big minutes yet, so Giannis and Dame are still really carrying the load, and as long as Middleton is going to be in this mid to lower 20s, give me Giannis and Dame every slate at this point, Stevie, until things change. These guys are playing great right now.
Yeah, I mean, I hate paying up for Giannis. I really do. My problem with paying up for Giannis is Lillard is there, and on any given slate, Lillard can have a big game. Dame has been playing great, and like Giannis has been great, but like I want him to get in that like 70, 80 Giannis point range.
Well, listen, he pretty much scored 70 the other night. 69.5.
But he played 40 minutes against Miami the other night in a game that they had to win, and he scored 61 fantasy points. And he shot 68% from the field. Like 61 at his price, I'm okay with the fade.
I get it. I'm just saying I think him and Dame
I don't disagree that I think they're starting to get it figured out. And like they're playing less defense, so like the games are staying closer. So like he has that like ceiling. I really like SGA at $700 less, but I could understand going Giannis over SGA in a heartbeat. SGA just doesn't have a Lillard.
He's got a Giddy.
Okay. Okay. That might equal like 3/4 Lillard, but
I'm just kidding. Oh man.
I mean, like I wish Middleton was getting secure, like was getting the 30 minutes a night, because I think this is a really good spot for him, but he's not. On the cheap side, I think Malik Beasley, with no Pat Connaughton here, already ruled out for this game. I think Malik Beasley is really safe, and he has been playing great.
Yeah, big minutes too.
Yeah, so I think Malik Beasley is the guy we're looking at here for Milwaukee at 5,200. I really like Malik Beasley today. Chicago is impossible to break down right now. If DeRozan and Levine and Caruso all sit, Kobe White's going to be the chalkiest chalk of chalk town ever.
He's already priced like they're going to sit. He's 6,600.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I get it.
Yeah. Milwaukee has been so bad against point guards this season, and if all these guys are out, what is this guy? What is AU? He's going to be chalky if these guys sit. So we're watching. I mean, even a guy like Javon Carter could play minutes in this game if these guys all sit. I don't know how much bump Vooch gets in this game if all these guys sit, though. I mean, I don't think I play Vooch at 8,100 if everyone is in or out.
Yeah. I will say if they sit, Pat Williams is going to for sure play 35 minutes. No doubt about it. And then Torrey Craig probably gets 25 for what it's worth.
If one of DeRozan or Levine sit, you play the other one. You take some shots on the other one. If they both sit, I mean, maybe a little bit of Vooch, but I really don't love it. I would play a lot of Kobe White if these guys sit, though. He'd have to play 35 plus minutes. 66 makes it difficult, though. It's not an auto play at 66 where it would be if he's like 56. So, I mean, that's nice at least.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Utah, Minnesota, no total in this game. Utah on the second end of a back-to-back. They got blown out by Memphis on Wednesday night. We got Edwards doubtful for Minnesota and McDaniels and McLaughlin out. So we'll talk about that in a second. Let's start with Utah. What do you like here for the Jazz?
I've got to assume Laurie is out. I know Dunn was out the night before. I'm going to go back to the well on Clarkson. He's 7,600. I definitely think he's got the upside if Laurie's sitting. If anybody else sits like Dunn, I don't hate Sexton, but I do feel like Utah, the pricing is starting to come. Like Collins is priced up. Fontecchio is getting priced up. Agbaji is getting priced up. We've now got Walker Kessler priced up. So it's mainly Clarkson and Sexton for me.
Yeah, I mean, I could be okay with not playing anybody from Utah. Yeah. I mean, the Jazz. The Jazz have been struggling. Kessler played 28 minutes. He's been a little bit banged up, but like if he's gonna get back to playing that like 30-minute role at 6,100, I think you could look at Kessler here. Fontecchio, he did okay. We talked about him on the podcast last night. He ended up with like 27 fantasy points. He was the second highest fantasy point producer there, but honestly, they all kind of stunk, and that's what we were worried about just because they stink.
Stinker Rooney.
Yeah, I don't think Markkanen plays. They already rolled him out for this game, so we know he's going to be out. I think you could take shots on Kessler, maybe Sexton, maybe Fontecchio. You could fade this team. Minnesota is good defensively. You could easily just get away from Utah here. But I don't know if you could get away from Minnesota. Edwards being out is huge. Like, this is a guy that puts up a ton of shots. He has a lot of usage. What are your thoughts here on Minnesota with Edwards doubtful?
I mean, so I think Mike Conley's going to be in play, even though he's 6,400, just because I think the minutes are going to be there. And then I think the shot attempts are going to sustain while he's out. So even though he's at 6,400, Utah's been awful on defense if the game's remotely close. I don't hate it. I think another guy that I feel like should have a little bit more freedom, if you will, would be Nikhil Walker-Alexander. I think he'll be okay. Troy Brown's probably going to get a few more minutes. But I think the big dog here, man, Karl-Anthony Towns, 8,800. No Edwards, Stevie. I mean, he's going to get to just dominate this game. And so at 8,800, with no Edwards, he's underpriced because when there was no Edwards on this team, Stevie, we were paying up to 10-2 for him, 9,500. So I think there's a little value here with Karl-Anthony Towns while Edwards sits.
Cat's the best play in the slate today. One of the reasons that I don't love Giannis is because I think you can get two of these like 8 to 9K guys, and it just kind of offsets what Giannis is capable of. Karl-Anthony Towns gets a 9.6% usage bump with Edwards off the floor. 9.6.
Yeah.
His usage rate this season in 103 minutes is 36%, averaging 1.3 fantasy points per minute. And he gets Utah. I mean, I wrote down all these numbers earlier just so I had them, but Karl-Anthony Towns is in a smash spot, and I hate the term smash spot. So I really like this spot for Cat today. I think a guy like Mike Conley is okay. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. We could see his assists go up and his shot attempts go up a little bit here with Edwards doubtful. Like the Alexander Walker call, he could potentially see a big bump, but I could see them using like a Kyle Anderson. I could see them using like a Troy Brown Jr. to kind of fill out some extra minutes. So if Nah gets a ton of ownership here, we could definitely, pivot. But Alexander Walker is someone that is not a great fantasy point minute producer type play. Cat is he's gonna smash. He's just gonna smash. Love Cat in this spot. Like I said, I think he's the top play on the slate today. All right, we finish it out. Clippers, Warriors. No total in this game because it is a back-to-back for the Clippers. We do have news that Chris Paul not going to play. Gary Payton not going to play. Gary Payton tore his calf. He's going to be out for a while. He was playing great.
It was a non-contact, too. Like, he was just running around the screen. And I actually saw that play happen, Steve. I was watching the game last night.
Yeah, I was watching the game, too.
Oh, man. Just terrible.
Yeah, the Warriors were up by like 18 or something like that. And then Chris Paul got hurt. And then Gary Payton got hurt. And they just fell apart. They were just doubling Steph a lot.
Yeah.
I had Curry's point prop. We talked about it a bunch. But, yeah. Can't win them all. All right, let's go Clippers here. That game getting rolling here a little bit. They're playing a back-to-back. What are your thoughts here on the Clippers?
I think it's going to be the same thoughts I've had, Stevie. So we got Harden at 8K. Don't really like that. We've got Paul George at 89. He's been the one Clipper I've been most enthusiastic about playing. But at 8,900, Stevie, I think that's getting really close to, with all these guys and all these mouths to feed, like cutting off value. We've got Kawhi at 81. Okay, I'm not thrilled about that. Like, if Zubac continues to get, if he got 30 minutes, maybe I play Zubac. I don't hate Norman Powell off the bench. This game should be close, even with the Warriors having some guys out. And that's just kind of where I am. Like, I feel like all the main Clippers are priced up now, and there's just not enough value in the big guns.
Did you see the first quarter of the Clippers game? James Harden was traditional. James Harden, he scored 17 points. He shot 4 for 5 from 3 and 6 for 8 from the field. Couple steals.
Right.
They're clicking, man. They're clicking.
Right.
Watch out for the Clippers.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so when he comes out and does that, who else is getting production during that?
You almost have to make a group of George, Kawhi, Harden, and just their upside kind of negates each other. Like their ceiling, like one of these three guys might have a ceiling game, or none of them might have a ceiling game, and they all have solid games. So they have a lot of talent. The Clippers have a lot of talent right now. Let's go to the Warriors side. I think the biggest takeaway for me from that Sacramento game was Andrew Wiggins had 18 shot attempts. He played 36 minutes. No Peyton, no Chris Paul. I think we see vintage Andrew Wiggins 35 minutes in this game. 6K. I think we jump on this before it becomes a thing. Klay Thompson, 6,400. As much as I like Steph, I think we are looking at some of these cheaper options here for Golden State.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Especially with Peyton being out, one of their defensive guys. No Chris Paul, or we anticipate Chris Paul being out. I think. Let me see it. Well, I think he's going to be out.
Paul's out. He's already ruled out.
Yeah. But so Steph, we did see Corey Joseph play a pretty good role, but is that going to expand? Like what I'm saying is he going to get to 23, 25 minutes? If so, at 3,300, I don't hate it, right? Like that's.
I think it could be Moody though. Like Moody might get the extra.
Right. And Moody was hot last night, right? Him and the other guy, they pretty much carried the fourth quarter all the way to about the 5-minute mark. So maybe Moody gets more minutes. But I'm with you. I think Wiggins at 6K might be the play here. I don't hate Draymond. Like I know, we don't see some of those 40-point games from Draymond, but I don't hate it in what should be a competitive matchup. I don't hate Looney at 5,500. So yeah, that's kind of, and I know I didn't mention Curry, but clearly he's the best player on this team.
Yeah, the problem with Curry is I think there's just better options in this price range on this slate.
Well, let me ask you this though. How do you feel about him? See, with no Chris Paul, I feel like the assists are going to pick back up temporarily.
Yeah, but they could easily pick up for Draymond.
Yeah. Very true.
Curry's a catch and shoot guy. I mean, he's the best catch and shoot guy we've ever seen in the NBA. So
yeah, I saw him splash one last night and it barely grazed the nets, Stevie. Like the nets. Unbelievable.
Couldn't just get one more point. Need one more point to finish out the night good. But anyway. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. We have the NFL podcast right after this if you all want some NFL information. We're going to be live again here in like 20 minutes. So there you go. Will, favorite play under 5K to go 7X. Who do you got?
7X feels like such a stretch today, Stevie. But I think I'm going to trust myself here with this Minnesota-Utah game. Give me Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I know it's terrible, but man, Utah just is a friend to all for the fantasy point production.
Yeah, and I think that is it's a strong option just because we already have news that Edwards is doubtful for this game, and he should slide into that role. Got
hurt going up for a dunk, man.
You took my guy. I'm looking really quick. Who's actually been playing really solid lately? Like upside wise, like he's not going to upside every night, but like he has a little bit of upside. I think, especially in this matchup. Give me my boy Josh Hart going up against this terrible Detroit team.
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily come off the floor right away in a blowout. So I think Josh Hart has a little bit of upside against Detroit. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today?
Oh man. Man, give me K Cunningham. Knicks are tough, man. They're tough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're a tough spot for sure. Man, I struggle with this one. I think there's a lot of great plays, expensive plays on this slate. I gotta stick with my guns here. I'm gonna go Giannis.
Man, I'm shocked you didn't go Vooch. I thought for sure
he's cheap enough that like he can get 5X. I just don't know if he gets like 7, 8X. And like if all those guys end up sitting, like he's gonna get a usage bump. Like if DeRozan and Levine are both out, like Vooch is gonna have more shot attempts in this game.
Yeah.
Favorite 6X play today?
Let's see. I think 6X, man. Give me Cat, man. Give me Cat.
We are definitely on the same page today. I had Cat written down, so I'm looking again. I mean, there's a lot of plays I think that are really solid on this slate. Give me Dinwiddie.
I don't hate it.
I think Brooklyn's in a great spot. Let's get weird GPP play of the day. Who do you got?
I think I'm going to go Dame. I've talked about Dame and Giannis in this Chicago game. I like where they're headed, man. And Dame's 9,100, and I don't feel like Dame's going to get crazy ownership today on this slate, especially if Butler's out. I think that ownership flows to Bam. Give me Dame Lillard.
I'm going to go way off the board today and go Mike Conley. Wish he was a little bit cheaper.
But I love that, Stevie. I love Mike Conley.
I think it's a double-double type game for him with Edwards out. I think we're going to see the ball in Conley's hands a little bit more.
Yeah.
And as much as we love Cat. Love Cat. I almost said you could pivot off a Cat to go Bear, but I love Cat so much that I don't know if I want to pivot. All right, a bet, a prop, a pick and play. What do you got for us?
Give me. I'm actually going to try. Come on, bud. Give me. Give me Mike Conley. I'm hoping Conley comes in at 6.5 assists. Stevie, 5.5 to 6. If he was 5.5, I think the last game. Give me Conley over assists as long as it's between 5.5 and 6.5.
Yeah, with Edwards doubtful, we won't likely get that up until the morning. So pay attention to that one. Mine's up right now. I already bet this one. It's Claxton over 21.5 points and rebounds. So got this one already. I think it was like minus 120 or something like that. Let's see. Upcoming Claxton 21.5 minus 125. I took the over 21.5. I love this spot for Claxton. The minutes look like they're trending in the right direction after missing some time. So I'm going to go Claxton, and I'm going to take over his point and rebound prop here. I think it's too low. Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Negative, my brother. Having a great time with you this week, man, and super enjoying hanging out with you. And let's keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, back tomorrow. More NBA with Will and I. 6-game slate, I think, on Friday, which is fantastic Friday slate. 6 games on a Friday. That is like music to everybody's ears.
It's going to be me and Mrs. Chief's Christmas decorating day. So I'm thrilled for 6 games.
It's so funny. We're going to get a Christmas tree on Friday. So I hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday. Again, if you're hanging out with us live, feel free to hang out. We got football coming up here at 11:15, breaking down the Week 13 NFL slate. I already like a lot for football. I already have way too much in props and stuff, so can't wait to talk about that. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. Back tomorrow talking more hoops. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.